Anna Karina appeared in her first film at the age of 14. 3 years later, she left her native Denmark to work as a model in Paris, and in 1959 was given the leading role in Jean-Luc Godard's Le Petit Soldat. This film ran into censorship difficulties and was held up for a few years. By this time, Anna Karina had emerged as one of the leading actresses in the French cinema. She worked with many directors, but her extremely sensitive acting was probably best displayed in the films of Jean-Luc Godard. Une femme est une femme, Vivre sa vie, Bande à part. She continued to make films with Godard until 1966. Since the mid-60s, Anna Karina has become an international actress and has worked with a variety of distinguished directors: Visconti, Volker Schlöndorff, Tony Richardson, George Cukor, André Delvaux. Now, herself, she has directed a feature film, Vivre, ensemble. She wrote the script, she produced the film, and she took the leading role. This would seem to be rather a brave venture, Anna Karina. May I first ask you the obvious question? What led you to direct your own film?
Well, actually, I wanted to do something by myself. I mean, when you've been working a lot with directors, you suddenly feel like doing something by yourself, something of your story. But I thought about it for a long time, because already 10 years ago, Jean-Luc said to me, you should direct a picture because you would know how much trouble it is.
Yes.
And because it's much worse to be a director than to be an actor. It's much more trouble. I mean, you have to take care of people. When you are an actor, people take care of you.
Mm.
Now, he said to me at this time, do a picture so you would understand me better, which is true. I realized that really doing a picture is a big satisfaction, but it's much more, it's harder work, really.
But did you...
I'll never argue with a director again.
Sorry. Did you, in fact, write a role for yourself? Did you conceive this as a film in which you would take the starring role?
No, I wrote this story because it's a district I know about. It's people I know about, and it happened to a friend of mine.
I see.
And also I wanted to start with a picture not too difficult to make. I mean, about something I would know, not going over, or how do you say, not trying to do a kind of intellectual picture that I wouldn't be clever enough to follow myself. Yes. So I thought that this story, and telling this story about the people I knew very well, that I could do it. And I did.
Yes, but did you always envisage taking the role of Julie yourself?
Well, that I did because of the distributor.
Yes.
And also because, you know, people in the beginning, they didn't really take me seriously. They say, well, you want to do a picture, why? I mean, you know, why, what for? And then I said, well, I want to do it because I feel like doing it, and I want to do my story. But I said, why do you want this? And you can't do a picture. And it's like when you're an actress or when you're something else, you're classed. You have to be an actress, or you have to be, I don't know, a scrubber or whatever, or whatever you are, you're classed. And you're not allowed to do something else. So you really need to be very strong. Also, to find the money was not very easy.
Yes, you found the money yourself, didn't you?
I put a lot of money into it myself. Not really a lot, because it's not a very expensive picture, but a lot for me, let's say.
Yes. I wanted to ask you about the structure of the film. Was everything carefully planned in advance? Did you have the idea of the tableau and everything carefully?
It really was, because as I told you, nobody really took me seriously, so I had to do everything myself, the schedule, the budget. And only a few people helped me, like the production manager of François Truffaut helped me with gave me all the, all the things like TVA, the camera, how much a week, and so on, so I could put it down myself and make the budget. And also, it's very good for you to do all that yourself because you know exactly what's all about in the end. And also, as I couldn't find all the money, I had to produce myself, so I had to have a company. And to get a company, it's not very easy, so I had to wait all the time. So I had to redo the schedule all the time too. Yes. And then I had to get my card, because without the card you can't direct. Mm. Yes. So that took time too. So I wanted to shoot in the beginning of April, and finally I was shooting in the end of September, you see. Yes. So I had a lot of time to think about it.
So you had a very carefully worked out shooting script?
Very, very carefully, because I had every costume, everything was going on. Mm. And also I had to shoot backwards, because I had to start with the end of the film, because of the male part. Yes. With his beard, his long hair, and I had to cut it little by little. Mm.
Yes. A filmmaker who saw Vivre Ensemble with me yesterday admired the technical perfection of certain shots, especially the cafe scene where we see Alain and his director entering in the mirror and then sitting down.
That was done in the Balzac, which is a bit like a lip in Paris.
Did you yourself think out these shots?
Of course, I've been choosing all the sets, and we did that in 3 hours. It's very quickly done. And then I had all my friends coming, because because I couldn't pay for big figuration. How do you say that?
A big number of the cast. You couldn't pay for a large.
No, I couldn't pay for all the people. I mean, in the restaurant. So I had all my friends coming, and I gave them a big meal.
I see.
So they're very happy, because it only took anyway from 12 to 3 o'clock. So they're having everything they wanted: good wine, good food.
Yes. And the division into tableaux, I think you divide it into 7 tableaux. Each one has a title, such as
I did that.
Gris, I think.
I did that because I think that in life you got moments important in your life. Yes. I mean, it's not always important for people looking at your life, but for you, some moments in your life is very important, and that's why I wanted to put a kind of tableau every time.
Yes.
I like that. Nobody liked that. They all said, "Why don't you cut that out? It's not necessary." But I liked it, and I didn't want it to cut it away.
Yes. And there is a blend of what one might call documentary and fiction. I think especially in the sequences shot in the USA.
Yes.
One has the 2 main characters walking about and living their life, so to speak.
Well, that was all written down anyway.
Yes.
But of course, in the park, you never know what's going on really. So there we was a kind of getting into, I mean, people moving around. So we were trying to be there. I mean, we're putting ourselves into the people. But you saw when there are the manifestations and all that.
All the demonstrations, so the anti-Vietnam demonstrations. Right. Was this meant to have any significance in the film?
Well, I wanted to, that's very much New York. No, I don't think I can really talk about politics, but I think that politics should be involved in the picture. It should be in the picture, because it's a part of life. And this is true. I mean, that's really what's going on in New York. At that day it was true.
There is also a scene in Paris where there is a sort of exhibition of posters and photographs from May 68. And I think it's Bruno, the character, talks about May 68.
That's right.
Could I ask you why you put this in?
I put that in to show that people really don't care very much of what they say about things. I mean, they forget so quickly.
About things such as May 68.
That's what he's saying in the dialogue. He's saying, well, there was this police agent, and he was hitting an old lady, and she was on the street, and she was bleeding, and everybody was just looking, and nobody really did anything for it. Nobody really did anything about it.
Yes.
And I wanted to show that you talk a lot in France, but really you don't do much about things.
Were you in France during the troubles of May 68?
Yes.
Yes. And did you participate at all, or did you watch?
I watched
Yes.
a lot. I must say, I live just next to La Sorbonne, but also I saw a lot of people not being very, very honest about many things. So.
And you felt you wanted to put
But
this
actually,
into-
May 68, I don't think it was really that important. It was a lot of screaming exterior, but I don't think it was really something very political, thing very, very, very important, as people say today. It wasn't really.
It didn't really change anything?
No, it didn't change at all. Nothing. Nothing at all.
To come back more directly to Vivre ensemble, you describe the film as a love story, une histoire d'amour. Are you, at the same time, trying to comment in any way on human relationships in general?
Well, that's really what I wanted to do. I wanted to show two people living together over 2 years, and I think if that kind of man would meet that kind of girl, that's what would happen. Actually, it happened really to one of my friends.
Yes.
So he's all right now.
Do you have a pessimistic view of human relationships? I mean, how would you, in the end of the film, do you interpret this yourself? Pessimistically or
I
optimistically?
think it's difficult. I wanted to show it's difficult. I mean, it's difficult to find somebody to live with. I think so. But I'm not pessimistic about it. No.
You just think it's difficult?
Very difficult.
I think certain critics have said that in a way the woman comes out of this film better than the man. I think you've perhaps already answered this question. Would you agree with this? We do see the man Alain throughout the film slipping.
Well, that's because there's a transference, and actually she becomes what he used to be, and he becomes what she used to be. But she seems better. Why? Because she's having a child, and she's taking care of the child, which is normal, I mean. In that case, she's really suddenly, in her life, suddenly she's got something. She's never had anything before, something real, which is life. And that's maybe why it comes out very strongly, maybe for some people, and that's why they think that she's much, much better than he is, which she isn't really.
Yes, it's not linked in any way with the women's liberation movement, I'm sure.
No.
Yeah. Do you feel any strong opinions? Do you have any strong opinions about women's liberation?
Well, I don't. The point is that I don't always agree with the people, with the women talking about it. And there's a lot of points that I would go for, really, many points. But I don't agree the way they're doing it.
Yes.
I don't think you should make war against men. I know women, and they don't even want to talk to men any longer, which is something I can't follow at all. I mean, this is completely stupid.
But did you, as a woman, find it difficult directing a cast of men?
Well, it's very funny what you're saying, that, because there was they're all men in there,
Yes,
in the
except for your
technical.
editor. Yes.
Everybody,
Yes.
which was the first day was difficult because they're all watching. What is she going to do, right? So does she know where to put the camera and all that? And so I was talking normally, saying put the camera over there, and we'll do this like that, and they're not really listening, fussing around. So I talk a little louder, and they would half listen like this. And then suddenly I would scream, which is something actors do, I'd scream very loud. Everybody would stop. There'd be a silence. And then I'd talk very, very softly again. That was the first day. And then afterwards, no problem. No problem at all.
Mm.
No, actually, I don't think I had a lot of trouble. I didn't have more trouble doing my film than anybody else would have.
No, you feel the fact
It's
of
not
being
because
a woman...
I'm a woman, no.
Uh-huh. Do you think that the woman then has perhaps more or less rights in France?
Maybe
than
people are
elsewhere?
laughing in my back. That I can't tell.
Yes.
I don't know about that.
But there are very few women directors. In France, I can only think of Nelly Kaplan, I think, is a...
And Agnès Varda.
Agnès Varda.
And you got Nadine Trintignant too.
Oh, she directs as well?
Sure. She's done already 3 or 4 pictures.
Mm.
There's about, I think, in the world, since the cinema started, about 160 women directors compared to 5,000 men directors.
Yes.
Which is not very much, you know.
Coming back to the character in the film, the character of Julie, in many ways, anyone who had perhaps seen some of the films that you made in the 60s might see a certain similarity in this character to some of the characters you played earlier. Could we perhaps...
Well, I wanted to show a girl living day by day, you know, just a girl like it could be anybody in this district. That's what I wanted to show. No, I don't know if people feel that it's like in the same character as in Godard's picture. I don't think so, actually, at all. I think the good thing about Jean-Luc's pictures is that the characters are very different every time.
Well, I'd like to ask you about that.
Very, very different, which is very exciting.
Yes. When you look back at a film such as Une femme est une femme, which I think has been described as a documentary about Karina.
Oh yes, in England.
Yes. How do you feel? I believe you've seen the film again recently.
Yes. Well, I feel, I don't really know when I see a film, when I'm in, I feel touched because I start to think about everything, what's going on at this time, on the set, behind the set, with the people I used to know. And it's a kind of, I feel touched by it, really.
Was your acting style molded and developed?
Well, I never really liked myself very much because I always think I could do much better later, but that's nothing you can do about that anyway. I mean, it's there, all right. It's too late to cry. So, no, I feel moved about it when I look back, at least about Jean-Luc's picture.
Yes. Did he encourage you to consider a character as a whole? For example, in something like Une femme est une femme, were you asked to have an overall concept of the character you were playing, or did you do it virtually from day to day?
No, you know that Jean-Luc never show you a script, so it's in his head, and you are like doing a story every day, which means that you have to really to give everything every day.
Yes. You said, however, that the characters you played in...
what he wants to give, that you should give,
You said that the characters you played in his films were different. Did you feel that there was a...
They're very different. I mean, a woman, if you compare a woman as a woman to the girl in Live Your Life, or in Bande à part, it really has nothing to do.
Yes.
Or Pierrot le Fou, or Made in USA, or Alphaville.
Yes. Did you enjoy working on Pierrot le Fou?
I loved Pierrot le Fou. We had a lot of fun.
This was after you'd separated from Jean-Luc Godard, was it, Pierrot?
No, not really yet at that time. Yes. I don't want to get into that.
No, that's right. Yes. Can I ask you in general about acting then? Do you, when you, in fact, take on a role, do you try and think of the whole character? Do you try and immerse yourself entirely in the character?
Well, most of the time you speak with the director about it.
Yes.
And it depends. The way I work is I'd rather know my lines a long time before. or I rather do it straight ahead, you know, it depends. I rather not know about it at all, and then like we used to do with Jean-Luc, and then it gives it to you half an hour before you shoot, and then it's all on nerves, and you do what he wants. Or I rather have it when I'm working with the other director's house. I prefer to have it 1 month before, because I learn it, then I put it away, and it kind of...
So you have a different approach to different directors. You worked with Jacques
works in my
Rivette.
head, and then yes.
And
That was a very written script, anyway. I did that on the stage first.
yes, I was going to ask you about that. Have you appeared often on the stage, or was that your
3
stage?
times. That was the first time in '62.
Yes, this was with La Religieuse.
That was
the
a
nun.
nun, yes. And then Pour Lucrèce, de Giraudoux.
Yes.
And then the last play was 2.5 years ago,
Yes.
called Toi et tes nuages, d'Eric Westphal.
Do you enjoy working on stage?
And it was directed by somebody called Jacques Monod, who is the cousin of Jean-Luc.
Oh, I see. Yes. That's very interesting.
Which I didn't know when he was asking me to do the play. He told me afterwards.
Do you enjoy working on stage?
Very much, yes. For 6 months. And I would never do it more for more than 6 months, because afterwards I think I would be... in the end of the 5th month I start to be... I want to... You know, when you do a play, you always see the same people. You never see anybody else. You live in the theater the whole time. And you have no time, because you start at 9 o'clock. You finish at 12:30. Then before you get out of the theater, it's 1 o'clock. Before you go to a restaurant and discuss, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. And then you sleep until 3 o'clock in the afternoon most of the time. And you never see anybody. You never see life. You don't really... It's like... So it's okay for 5, 6 months. You always talk to the same people, and 6 months is okay, and then it's too much afterwards. And then I have to go away, to breathe, to see, to talk to people, or to travel, or to do something else.
But you will
Well, I
act
think
again.
most people are like me. 6 months is a long time of your life, doing one play.
But you would act again on the stage.
For sure.
Yes.
But only in something very, something I would like very much. Because if not, I wouldn't act on the stage just to do a part, you know, like this. No, something very interesting, like the nun, like Pour Lucrèce, or Toi et tes nuages.
Yes.
If not, if it's just to go on the stage and saying your coffee is ready, madam, no.
You've directed a film. Would you like to direct a stage play?
No, not yet. I didn't think about that. Maybe one day, who can tell?
And do you intend...
Not right now. I don't even think about it, directing a stage play now. But I'd like to do another picture. Actually, I wrote another script.
Yes. Could you tell us about that?
No, I'd rather not. I can tell you I want to do it in January, and I might do it in April.
Yes.
Before it's all set. I hope so.
And would you act again in
What do you
this
mean, act
film
again?
that you were directing for yourself? Would you act?
Well, we'll see about that. I don't know. It depends how the money goes, how the distributor, about the distributor. It all depends. Depends how it goes. It's not a problem, anyway. It's a question, that's right.
Yes. Did you take an active part in the editing of the film?
Oh, sure. Every
Yes.
day. And it's funny because as I was doing the picture, I was only working with men. And when we are cutting, we were only women. They used to be assistants of Jean-Luc, so I knew them since a long time.
Yes. Mm. And at the moment, you're working on a film in Rome.
Yes.
With a new director. Is this a character part that you're playing in this film, or?
Well, it's something I've never done before. It's I have to. It's a picture. I'm not talking a lot. I walk around feeling very strange, but in very beautiful clothes. It's something I really never really done. I have. It's all in looks and. How do you say? It's a character part, but it's a very strange kind of part.
So you feel this is in some ways a departure from your previous...
It's something new. It's for me. It's something I've never done. That's why it's interesting.
Yeah.
You know, put all these things on me and all this. It's very. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
As I said earlier, you've worked with some of the world's most distinguished directors. You've worked with Visconti, and you worked with George Cukor.
Oh, I love George Cukor.
Yes.
I like Visconti too. That's not. George Cukor is a very fantastic person, very human being, and a marvelous director. I think. I like the way he directs. He likes rehearsing. He loves that. So you have to come into his caravan and sit around, all the actors, and then he'll rehearse the scene. And then he'll say, now read it, and then he'll say, now do it in a dramatic way. Now try to do it in a comic way. He would make you do a lot of things, and then he'll say, now forget everything I told you. Now go away and forget what I just told you. Which is very good, because when you've done it in lots of ways, you pick up a little here and a little there. It's very, very good for you. And he loves people. He loves to take care of you. He takes care of every hair, of everything. I like that. Even though I know that people didn't like Justine very much. But, I mean, nobody can talk badly about George Cukor, because it's really his, what do you call it, un maître, I think. And it's not really his fault that the picture wasn't good, because he didn't start the picture. He took it over after 9 weeks.
Yes.
Which means that he couldn't change anything. He couldn't change the set, so he couldn't change the costume or the story, because he didn't have the time. And he couldn't do it because of it's already been done. So. Don't you like George Cukor?
Oh yes, I think he's a very interesting director. I was interested in the way you described his methods of working with rehearsal, etc. Was working for someone like Visconti very different?
It's not very, very different, but I mean, persons are always very different.
Yes.
So it's always different anyway.
Yes, I believe that Visconti has a reputation for being hard on his actors.
Oh, not with me. He was not hard with me, but really, you're right. I
Yes.
didn't want to say that, but sometimes he can be very rude to people.
Hmm.
But he doesn't really mean it. I don't think so.
Yes.
To me, he was very, very nice, like a father, really. And also, I know he didn't mean it, because sometimes he would scream, "Strand, so strand, you fool," like this, very, very, very loudly, like this. And then he'll go back to me and he'll make. And I say, "But why do I have to scream? Like, don't you see the poor man is like this, or the poor woman? They're all going like this, nervous." And what he loves is to give you the how do you say, the dialogue.
Mm.
He likes to put himself in the other actors,
He feeds you his lines.
Right, and he's a terrible actor. He's overdoing it, and he never remembers the lines, so he's half reading, half going wrong, and overacting. And I said, no, Lucchini, you can't do this to me because I'm laughing. I can't cry. When I look at you, I feel like laughing. I'd rather have the script telling the lines going da 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 than you going, screaming with the hands, with the face, with the... So he was worried. He said, "Oh, why don't you want me to give you the lines?" He loves that. I don't know. He loves to give you the off lines.
He's, of course, an operatic director as well, isn't he? He directs opera. Perhaps this has had an effect. And you've also worked with Tony Richardson in Laughter in the Dark.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I like that very much too. I like Tony is working in another way. He's rehearsing the day before and you're shooting the next day, which is very good, I think. When you're doing a difficult scene, he'll rehearse it the day before. I mean, after you stop the shooting for the day and then you rehearse for the next day, right? Which is very good because you got all the movements already in your feet and you don't have trouble with that. I think it's a very good way to. It's very different every time. It really is. All good directors, are great to work with.
And have any of these people, any of these directors, strongly influenced your own direction work in Vivre ensemble?
No, I think when it comes to a point, it's like doing a painting or anything like that. When you do it yourself, you just do it your way. I mean, if I ask you to paint this camera, you'll do it your way, and I'll do it my way, right? You can't. No, I don't think you. I mean, my life was influenced by Jean-Luc because he taught me everything in life. I mean, I met him when I was very young, and I didn't know much about anything. I still don't know very much, but I mean, I didn't know anything at all. And he made me read. He showed me things. It's a kind of school. It's a very good school, actually.
Do you still see any of his films? Have you seen Tout va bien?
Yes, sure. I saw it 3 times.
Yes. You liked it?
I liked it very much. I think it's again a picture that people will like in 10 years' time.
Yes, actually, I'm going off here. I was going to ask you about your own methods of direction. Do you, in fact, interpret the roles for actors? Do you say, now I'd like you to play this character in this way?
Yes,
much?
well, when they come on the set, we go and first to see the dialogue, because I don't agree if somebody don't feel about some words, you shouldn't really force them to say those words. In that kind of film I was doing, because it's a natural kind of acting picture, right?
Yes.
So when you're doing that kind of story, you shouldn't force an actor to do something he can't do. So I rehearse first the dialogue to see if everything is, if it's possible, that way. If not, we'll change a few lines if he doesn't feel about it, or we will discuss about it. And then we'll go and rehearse it with the actors. And as I used to come 2 hours before on the set, I would have done the movement a little bit by myself, and then I rehearse it with them and see if they feel it natural to go like this and this, and we rehearse for half an hour. And then I will rehearse with the camera, and then putting an assistant in my place. And then maybe I'll change a few things, and then I'll take my place and I'll leave. I mean, it sounds very complicated, but it isn't really. I mean, if you really feel about it, or if you really wrote the script yourself, if you really thought about what you really want to do and the way you want to do it to look, it's not that difficult.
Did you have someone standing in for yourself while you were behind the camera?
Yes, of course, an assistant. My first assistant was then doing all my movements, movements. He saw me doing it, the rehearsal. And then I might change, sometimes I would change a few things.
There are other women in the film.
Yes,
but very briefly.
Yeah. That's all. That's French.
That's French.
Friends.
Friends, I see.
Friends.
Yes, but was this deliberate, or did you originally intend to develop the role of, say, is it Sylvia, the...
No, that's how it was written.
Yes. You weren't intending to show a man between two women at one point?
No.
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 Mm. And these were all your friends working with you?
Well, because, as I told you before, there was no really confidence to begin with, so I had to take the people who wanted to do it. So.
Yes.
And I think they're very good.
Oh, yes.
I mean, they're just right for what I wanted to do.